After the terrible season that the Warriors had due to the injuries of their two best players, they were able to secure the second pick in the 2020 NBA draft. With Curry and Klay both returning next season, it's looking like the Warriors are going to bounce back, but how will they stack up against the rest of the league? Let's talk about that. Before we get this video started, I want to say, as always, if you like the video, leave a like. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. And if you know anybody who's a fan of the NBA, consider sharing this channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers before 2021. I don't know if that's possible, but might as well try. Now with that out of the way, let's get right into it. For many years, the Warriors were stuck in a state of either mediocrity or just plain losing. In a 30-year span from 1980 to 2010, the Warriors only made the playoffs 6 times, never making it past the second round. But in 2009, their luck would begin to change. In the 2009 draft, they selected Steph Curry with the 7th pick. At the time, Curry was just a small guard with ankle issues, and nobody really knew what he would truly become. 2 years later, the Warriors would select Klay Thompson with the 11th pick of the 2011 draft. This was the start of what would be known as the Splash Brothers. Everybody knows now what they've accomplished together, but at the time there were still a few years before real success would come. With Curry emerging as a real star in 2013, averaging 20 points per game for the first time, the team was able to make the playoffs as the 6th seed and upset the Nuggets before losing to the Spurs in 6. In the 2014 season, Steph Curry was an all-star for the first time, and his backcourt mate Klay Thompson improved some himself, averaging 18 points per game. The team was a 6th seed again but lost in 7 to the Clippers. This was the last season of the Warriors not being a very respected team. The next season, Curry won his first MVP. While statistically, his season wasn't very great, averaging 24 points and 7 assists, it was his shooting and the way he changed the game that got him MVP. Shooting 48, 43, 91 splits on 8 3-point attempts per game, Curry broke the record for most threes made in a season and started the transformation of the league to what it is today. Going 67-15 and winning their first championship of the century, the overall respect for the Warriors was considerably more than it had been in the past. The 2016 Warriors were incredible. The movement on the court made a brand of basketball that any fan could appreciate, and Curry was considered by some the best player in the world until the finals. Curry averaged 30 points and 6 assists along with 2 steals per game on 50-45-90 splits. It was the highest scoring 50-40-90 season by a long way, and Curry became the first unanimous MVP ever, leading the team to an NBA record 73 wins. What made it so special is how he completely blew out his previous record of the most 3-pointers made, with 216 more threes made than the previous season. The Warriors easily made the conference finals, but they were almost bested by the Thunder, but were able to come back from a 3-1 deficit to move on to their second straight finals. Going against the underdog Cavs, it wasn't too hard to go up 3-1 in the series. But then, as we all know, LeBron became God for the rest of the series and completely broke the spirits of Warriors fans. Despite blowing a 3-1 lead in the finals for the first time ever, fans were still optimistic for the future of the team. And then, on July 4th, 2016, Kevin Durant signed to the Warriors in free agency. Morality of the move aside, this arguably created the best team ever from a talent perspective. The strength of the Warriors in 2017 was something we'd never seen before. With 2 of the best 3-point shooters ever along with one of the best scorers in NBA history, there was no doubt the Warriors were winning a championship that year. They went 16-1 in the playoffs in a show of strength not seen since the 2001 Lakers, who are widely accepted as one of the best teams ever. The Warriors continued their dominance in the 2018 season, and although they had a pretty close call against the Rockets in the conference finals, they were able to secure the series and then swept the Cavs in the finals for their 3rd championship in 4 years. The following season, the Warriors added DeMarcus Cousins to the roster, but due to health problems, he only played 30 games and was not nearly on the level he'd been previously. Had Boogie been at the level of dominance we'd seen from him in prior years, the Warriors would have been the greatest team ever, but instead his injury ended up causing issues. He came back for the playoffs, but then in his first playoff game ever, he injured his quad and was out for the rest of the season. Kevin Durant also hurt his calf in the playoffs, which eventually escalated to an Achilles tear when he came back in the finals. Due to all the injuries and the players being overplayed, they went into the finals against Kawhi Leonard, who was looking like he was playing against JV high school teams, and they were quickly brought to a 3-1 deficit. And despite being able to take Game 5, Lowry finished Game 6 with 26 and 10, and Klay Thompson was taken out with an ACL tear. The Warriors ended the 2019 season in a bad state they hadn't been in a while. KD left in free agency, and Klay would be out for the next season. To make matters worse, Curry injured his hand just a few games into the season and missed almost the whole season. The Warriors finished with their worst winning percentage in almost 20 years and were able to get the second overall pick in the NBA draft. This brings us to where we are now. Klay and Steph are both expected to come back next season, and with their return, we can expect a resurgence in play from Draymond, who only really plays well around other stars. I expect that they will select James Wiseman with their draft pick. He's the safest pick they can make, and their team then needs a forward who can finish well. If you think they're going to draft LaMelo, you're simply wrong. The Warriors have no need for another guard, let alone an egotistical guard with a bad basketball IQ. If LaMelo turns out to be a great player, then you can say I was wrong, but no matter what happens to him, the Warriors aren't drafting him. While ACL tears can be detrimental to many players, I still think Klay Thompson will be able to be good. Considering athleticism isn't a major feature of his game, I think after getting the initial rust off, we'll be able to see Klay as we're used to. Same goes for Steph. He's starting to get up there in age, but has plenty of good years considering his playstyle. The return of superstar Curry, possible all-star Klay, and Draymond at least playing at a solid level, the addition of James Wiseman could help. I don't expect James Wiseman to be a star. People put way too much faith in young players to perform right away, like we've seen from a few. I expect him to have a solid rookie season, but due to the roster around him, I don't see him having great stats. Even with him not being amazing, playing solid at center could create spacing issues for defending teams. Many people are putting a lot of faith in Wiggins for having a breakout season next year. While we have seen him play at an all-star level in the past, and was playing very well after his trade to the Warriors, I just don't see him actually coming to fruition as the star people want him to be. I find it funny that he was being clowned on in Minnesota when he fell off, and now that he's on a big market team, they're saying he's going to be a star. I can see him being a positive contributor to a winning team, but not much better than he already is. His choices, attitude, work ethic, and playstyle are all contributors to him not being the star people wanted him to be. But that doesn't mean he'll be bad next season. I think with the starting five of Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Wiseman, they'll be at least a playoff team. But will they be legitimate contenders like many people are making them out to be? No. The supporting cast just isn't good enough for a title team, and the Western Conference is very competitive. But the Nuggets and Lakers will definitely be better, no matter what Bleacher Report tells you. And young teams like Dallas will only be getting better than we've already seen them. Even if the Warriors somehow make the finals again, I see most of the top Eastern Conference teams like Heat or Celtics beating them. Many people also seem to think that the future is incredibly bright for the Warriors. While I do trust the team management to make good decisions, they don't actually have the assets to create a dynasty like people are saying. I can see the Warriors being a playoff team for the next few years and possibly build a contender down the line, but with the assets they have now, it's not happening soon. I respect what the Warriors have done in the last decade, even though it was boring at times for the rest of the league. I respect the amount of fame and respect they brought to the organization, but don't listen to what Bleacher Report says, or other mainstream sources. They will not be contenders next year, they will not get Giannis, and they will not be a dynasty in the future. But that's really just my opinion. Do you think the Warriors have a shot at contending in 2021? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you like this video, leave a like. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing, and really, do share this channel if you know someone who might enjoy it. We'll appreciate that. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.
Thank you.